Welcome to Humane Voices, the official podcast of the Humane Society of the United States. So you have listened to all the new episodes of Smartless, new episodes of My Favorite Murder, and now you come crawling back to us, your ninth favorite podcast. We are glad you're here. Should I chide the audience, Carrie? That's not the best start.
What, for making us only ninth rather than I mean, like, we could be 302nd for all we know. I mean, ninth is good. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I'm Chad. I'm filling in for our typical co-host Kelly. Regular co-host Kelly. Is she typical? I don't know. Regular co-host Kelly. Hopefully she's relaxing during some much needed time off. To my left is the real star of the show, Carrie. Hooray.
Am
All
I really
good?
to your left?
I don't know. It's something.
I mean,
people...
we're talking politically or on screen. I'm under you and you're up top. But like, I mean, if we're getting into the whole political dynamics, I don't know if I'm to your left or to your right. It's a good question, Chad. We should discuss it.
Well, that's a whole nother episode we're going to have to get into. So we've got some good news at the start of this show. We just passed our 100th episode. Hooray!
Woo-hoo!
It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Congrats to us. We are the best. The number of episodes, 100, finally exceeds the size of our audience, which is sad. I'm just kidding. We've got dozens and dozens more than that. So is this, you're smart. Is this considered a centennial episode? Is that the right?
Is it centennial reflecting how old we feel?
Oh,
because
is that only age? It's not anniversary.
I think well, I mean, it may be. I don't know. It just feels like the podcast is 100 years old. It's old. It's young on the inside.
That's right. So we're celebrating also this episode because we're recording in August, and this is National Dog Month. That's very exciting.
For dogs. Yay for dogs.
So kicking things off, Carrie, did you see, I hope everybody saw this news story. It was hysterical. This bike thief with a heart of gold who was stealing the bicycle from the open garage and stops to pet the dog for a while.
The heart of gold for dogs, but apparently not for people. And a yen for bicycles. It's an interesting combination. Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen that, a bike thief walks into an open garage. I guess the camera footage comes from a security camera or something, and he's walking out with this very expensive bicycle, and a dog comes out to say hi, and he stops and pets the dog, and for a few minutes. So he I'm kind of torn because he's a thief. He's stealing a very expensive bicycle.
But he's an animal person, Chad. He's one of us.
So good to the doggy. Good Lord. Anyway, that was a very...
I mean, how much do you forgive for somebody being really, really nice to the dog of the house that they're stealing?
Right. Your Honor, I petted the dog. So that's very fun to talk about during National Dog Month. But we have actually got some victories here at the Humane Society of the United States and Humane Society International.
We do, but we should talk a little bit more about Bike Guy. I mean, like, one of the reasons that this is so great is like, I mean, it's a great example of something I feel like we see all the time in our movement in the world, which is dogs bring out the best in us.
That's
right?
True.
Here's an actual thief stealing from the house, and he takes the time to pet the dog because dogs are awesome.
That is totally true. You're totally right. And that's why it's not just National Dog Day, it's National Dog Month, right?
Right. And according to Floof, who is sleeping nearby, every day is National Dog Day, and every month is National Dog Month. And I think that probably many of us feel that as well. So
it's every day of the year.
Yes.
So we do have some victories we wanted to mention during National Dog Month. We've had some great ones recently. The Beagles, Carrie, you want to mention that?
Super exciting. I mean, it's really, I think back at what our organization and so many organizations around the country were doing at this time last year. It's the anniversary of when we pulled nearly 4,000 beagles out of a place that was breeding them where they would have been used for research. And we were so excited to be able to get to work on this project, and so happy to see these dogs in better places. So many of them have gone to amazing, loving homes. And it was really just a great moment where the field came together. We did a lot of work, and a lot of other groups did some work to get the dogs out in the first place. But this could not have happened without amazing shelters and rescue groups all over the country who took these animals in during a time when they're already sort of really overwhelmed with lots of animals in their kennels. By the way, go adopt. you don't have to adopt a beagle, but go adopt. And they were incredibly generous with their time and their resources in getting these amazing beagles placed. And these dogs would be living very different lives if there hadn't been this incredible intervention on behalf of so many groups.
So it's got to be hundreds of placement partners did a lot of work on this stuff. It was a lot anyway. So what I just learned, aside from the amazing work of our placement partners, getting good homes for all these loving beagles, nearly 4,000 of them. We ourselves at the staff at Humane Society International and Humane Society United States took on and adopted some of these dogs. I think it's more than a dozen dogs are now in homes of staff. That's crazy.
This does not surprise me at all, Chad. I mean, this is probably something we should, I mean, for legal reasons, when we have all of our new positions listed on our website, if you're looking at those now, you should probably read the small print that says, if you come and work here, you will get a beagle. We won't get you a beagle within the first 2 hours of your employment. You will take on some sort of animal. I am, of course, kidding, but only sort of.
You want a beagle? I can get you a beagle, dude.
Exactly. We can get you a beagle by 3 o'clock this afternoon, and possibly some cats, maybe a pit bull, who knows?
So there was a nice article about all the dogs, more than a dozen that were adopted. I just wanted to quickly, just for those individual owners and dogs, I wanted to name these dogs who have gone home to loving homes with our staff. So here we go. Here's a bunch of names of these dogs: Walter, Doris, Bailey, Sonny, Tito, Daisy, George, Norman, Jane, Riley, Piper, and Bailey Part 2. I think there are 2 Baileys: Gordy, Franny, and Enzo. Yay.
Enzo. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Lovely. Now that when I read off those names, this is ridiculous. This is what I thought, Carrie. Good Will Hunting, when Matt Damon is listing his fake brothers to Skylar.
Can you remember them all?
I wrote them down, and I'm going to bring out my worst Boston accent right now. Okay, ready? I'm not going to do it justice, but here we go. If anybody remembers this movie, this will put you right back in it. Maki, Ricky, Danny, Terry, Mikey, Davey, Timmy, Tommy, Joey, Robbie, Johnny, and Brian.
Say it again.
I know. He did it twice in the movie. I'm reading it, and I'm so much worse than Matt Damon.
Yeah, I think your references are more sophisticated than mine, because looking at that list, I thought of sneezy, dopey, grumpy, bashful, and Doc. Enzo is the Doc.
Enzo is Doc. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. So the Beagles anniversary, we also had a recent dogfighting rescue out of North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte in Gaston County. Yeah. We pulled 14 dogs out of an alleged dogfighting situation. That's always just a great situation where we can get those dogs out of a terrible situation and into a situation where they'll be rehabbed and hopefully find some homes.
Yeah, and these dogs apparently just had a tremendous amount of scarring. And it was not a big rescue in terms of the number of dogs, but apparently just sort of the scarring that our team saw just sort of indicated that these dogs had just really been through a lot, which is just, it's really nice being able to think that they are going to a new and better place.
Absolutely. So, and then the third piece we wanted to mention is we've mentioned the dog meat campaign on this show before, but we had a recent victory in Indonesia. We usually talk about South Korea with the dog meat campaign, which is where a lot of the work happens, but Indonesia is also part of it as well. There's a market with lots of, I was going to say fruits and vegetables, but I think it's a lot of animals for sale at these markets. I think it was even it's called the Tamahan Market.
Extreme Market.
Extreme. That's what I was going to say. They even call it that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So when the fact that they even call it the Extreme Market, because when I first saw it, I assumed that was just something we were calling it because it was so extreme. But apparently the market called itself extreme.
Yeah. They had a whole section, I guess, in this market of dog and cat slaughter, where they would slaughter the dogs and cats for their meat. And our team at Humane Society International worked with these vendors and got them to shut it down. And they got the local government involved, and they signed an order saying no more dog and cat meat at this market. So that's a very really cool victory. These dogs are just treated awfully.
National Dog Month.
Yeah, exactly.
Dog Month.
All over the world. It's crazy. So Carrie, I wanted to jump into some trivia just real quick that I read about online. So take it with a grain of salt, because God only knows it's on the internet. But these are the current most popular doggy names. All right, let's go through it. The current most popular ones. I bet our audience has at least one of these dogs' names in their house.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, Bella. I've heard of a Bella before.
Okay. Yeah.
Luna.
Mm-hmm.
Luna, then Max.
Oh, I love Max as a dog name.
That's
Max is
good.
just like, it's just so dog-like. So, Max. Yes.
It's dog-like. Daisy, which is certainly a classic. Charlie. Coco.
Coco.
I don't know where Coco comes from, but that's good. It's a good name. Buddy. Wasn't Clinton's dog named Buddy or cat named Buddy or something a while ago?
Yeah. Buddy and Socks, right? Those were I think.
Carrie, your memory is unbelievable. Milo, Lucy, and Bailey, which Bailey, we just had 2 Baileys on our list of beagles. So that's
the trend followers. Excellent.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And Lucy, you at one point in your life had a Lucy in your life. Is that right?
I have a Lucy right now.
There we go. Perfect.
And in fact, I was going to say that, you see a lot of these sort of strong, sort of 2-syllable dog names. And I think I read years ago that this is one of the things that dogs really like, these sort of simple names that are sort of strong vowel, where they're easy to hear, they're easy to call. So like Daisy, Charlie, Coco, they're sort of names that dogs can really like. Hello,
interesting.
That's me. So yes, we have a beagle, not from the beagle, the big beagle response, but an earlier beagle response that we were involved in. Her full name, actually, because she's a little redneck girl, is Lucinda Piggly Wiggly. But Lucy for short, and then as one of her many rescuers is forever berating me about the fact that really what we call her most of the time is Oinky Pig. So probably not a name that appears on the most popular dog names, but she does not seem to mind, and she oinks quite a bit. So we felt it was appropriate.
That is fantastic. I love that. Oh my God. Piggly Wiggly. So what that got on this list of the best names got me thinking about the worst dog names out there. So I quickly Googled this and found a very unofficial list with some of my favorites on here. The first one is awesome. Stinkerbell. I love that. Stinkerbell. That doesn't seem like a bad name. That's a good one. It's funny.
I love that name, and I love that. I mean, this is yet another of questionable internet research thing, because it's like, really, are there a lot of people out there giving their dog the name Stinkerbell? Okay. Yeah.
It's the internet, people. Just take it easy. Other ones for worst dog names were Cujo, if you remember Stephen King's Stephen King's book, and then a movie followed about a dog trying to just kill everyone he meets. Bear. There was Bear, which I kind of like as a dog name.
Love Bear as a name.
But I think the point in this list was that you can't go camping with a dog named Bear because he'll run around and then the owner will run around screaming, Bear, Bear, and then chaos ensues.
So one unique situation.
Yes, I know.
Is basically making we can't name a dog Bear. Don't go camping. Come on, stay home and eat bonbons like sensible people.
That is a sentiment I agree with.
Yeah.
And then there's lots of those unfortunate names which indicate that the dog is going to be aggressive or something. That seems like always a bad idea, like Killer or something like that, or God forbid. Anyway, lots of bad.
Such a thing at animal shelters, right? I mean, animal shelters have done so much to make sure that when they're out there sort of placing dogs, and when people are going into their kennels, that you're seeing names that are more like Daisy, Charlie, and Coco, and not Killer and Cujo, which is really a good idea. Although, frankly, we have our other dog, our small auxiliary backup dog, Floof. He's a Chihuahua, and I actually would love to name a Chihuahua Cujo. And I think that many animal shelter people would say that, Chihuahuas are the dogs that potentially, most deserve the name Cujo a lot of the time. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, tell everybody where Floof comes from, the name.
So we have Lucy, Piggly Wiggly, Oinky Pig, and then on the other sort of sophisticated European side of the equation, we have Floof, whose name is short for Hans Floofer. He was named after the Alan Rickman Die Hard terrorist because he is a tiny terrorist. So
who's Alan Gruber, right? It's Hans Gruber, but Hans Floofer.
But Hans Floofer is we don't actually call him Hans Floofer because when speaking of things you don't want to run through the neighborhood screaming Hans Floofer. It's very tricky to scream out loud and have people not think you're a psycho. So
that's funny. And then the last one on the worst names. This is terrible. This was actually on a list. The worst names for a dog. Chad. An audience. My name is Chad, and my name was on a worst dog's name list. That's terrible.
How do you feel about that, Chad?
I'm going to rename myself. It's either Bailey or Stinkerbell. I think. I'll rename myself.
You've always been a Stinkerville in my eyes. I mean, just out of curiosity, did you do a search on the worst human names list to see if
It might have
Chow
been.
turned up there too?
I might have been on the worst internet sites list. So anyway, I'm gonna jump
You're
ahead a little bit.
Stinkerbell now, dude. You have cemented that. I'm
I've
sorry.
been called so much worse. So Carrie, the top state. This was kind of interesting. Lots of states legalizing marijuana now. There's a lot of them now. So what are the states that get the most calls about dogs accidentally consuming
Oh,
edibles like THC or marijuana edibles, which obviously is not, hopefully not intentional, right? The dog is hungry and he finds his way into some snack or something. What do you think the number one state is that gets the most
is
calls
there a
about
heat
that?
map of this out there somewhere? I mean, is it centered around Woodstock, New York?
This is incredibly scientific, so watch your P's
Okay.
and
I mean,
Q's.
obviously, I would go immediately for California.
That would be my guess.
That would be my immediate guess, and then I would say, okay, Woodstock, New York, Austin, Texas. Where else?
So this is just by state. That's interesting. My guess would have been California. That's number
Mhm.
two. Number
Interesting.
one,
Okay.
think Yosemite Sam. Where would he have been? The cartoon characters, Yosemite Sam, where he would have been from.
Hmm.
Texas.
I think Yosemite is actually in California, isn't it?
Gosh dang it. I have screwed up my own. Oh, forget it.
But
We're
he is a rootin' tootin' little Texan, so
we're
I
cutting
guess
this
that
all
counts.
out. Forget it. I forgot Yosemite is not in Texas at all. Good Lord. All
But
right.
Yosemite
Anyway.
Sam might be from Texas. I don't know. There are cowboys in California too.
So Texas, California, New York, Florida, Michigan were the top states for unfortunate THC edible consumption.
Okay, so
So
this is a call out from the Humane Society. Come on, Texas, California, New York, Florida, Michigan, do better. Do better with your control of your semi-nominally legal substances and making sure your dogs don't get into them
don't
because
put your dog
they're
through that.
not good for your dogs. They are
No.
not good for your dogs.
Hopefully everybody knows that by now, but that's a good PSA.
Yeah.
So give your dog a big hug from Humane Voices for National Dog Month.
Yay.
And we wanted to so we've got a whole list, 100 episodes down, but we've got a lot more to go. We've got a whole list of topics for the future. And we were going to list some here and see which ones you guys were excited about or more excited about. We'd love to hear from you. So let us know. Get out your email machine and email us at podcast@humanesociety.org. So I was going to go over some of the topics. Carrie, you want to kick it off? I bet you've got the list in front of you.
Sure. One of them, which I'm going to just answer right off the bat, is can I live with a pet if I'm allergic? And the answer is yes. But let's do a podcast on it anyway.
You blew it.
We should tell people how you live with it.
That's
how
true. Yes.
How you live with a pet if you're allergic, because it's more complicated than just saying yes.
Yeah, that's true. There are some ways to mitigate that, and so you deal with that occasionally. Yep. How often do you deal with that, you think?
Well, I think both my husband and I are a little bit allergic to the dogs. But
Wow.
we don't have cats because we are both much more allergic to cats.
Interesting. Interesting.
I think we could get shots for it, but as a needle phobe, I have not made that commitment. I know my little sister is very allergic to cats, and she's had cats for years and has made it work really well. Yeah.
So people make it work. So we're going to tell you some hints on how to make it work. We're going to tell you what to do if you find a lost dog or cat, or even if you find a stray dog or stray cat.
Yeah, if your pet goes missing, there are different strategies to use. There's all sorts of things, and the way you would look for and where you would look for a dog and a cat are very different. It's very interesting. Those two animals behave very differently when they get out of your house. I had a friend who went through a really hellish thing with her cat the past year but the whole town got involved. Like because the cat would appear on some, security cams, and it was in this little town in Pennsylvania. And every now and then there would be a white cat spotting, and she did eventually get the cat back. But there are all sorts of techniques you can use and websites that will be really helpful for you if you've lost a cat or if you found a dog or a cat.
Well, good. That's a good topic we'll do. We were going to talk about, this has been a battle for years. Outdoor cats, people who sometimes keep their cats outdoors. Versus wildlife, or there's birds out there that cats kind of stalk and all that stuff. Anyway, there's been a whole battle going on for years, but we've got two experts one in the wildlife camp and one in the companion animals camp, and we're going to talk it out, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
The battle has reached a détente. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked a little bit about it on the show before. We'll talk about declawing cats and how that's becoming, those bans are sweeping the nation. So we'll talk about that a little bit.
It's great. Good,
We're
news for
gonna
cats. Maybe we should plan that for National Cat Month.
Oh,
there's got to be a National Cat Month. We should investigate. If there's not, we should claim discrimination, because that's really a problem if there's not a National Cat Month.
So we will talk about, we mentioned it earlier, but our dog meat campaign, we were going to go into that a little bit with a deeper dive and talk about all the victories we've had there and what kind of progress we're making. So that'll be exciting. And then last but not least, we haven't had Kitty Block, our president and CEO, on the show in a very long time. I think she's ducking us. I think she doesn't want to face the tough questions.
She's probably afraid that we're going to try to declaw her. She's Kitty. Get it? Yeah.
I was there. That's awesome.
Kitty Block on the show. In fact, we will have Kitty explain why she has not been declawed, because it's inhumane.
That is awesome.
It would be great to get Kitty back. Yes.
Declawing Kitty. I love it. That is it for us. We talked about absolutely nothing, but accomplished very little as well. So this was a great episode.
That's why we're your 9th favorite podcast.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll be back with a new episode soon. Get your pets spayed and neutered. I took that from Bob Barker. You see what I did?
Fantastic. And don't name them Chad.
That's right. Gosh, dang it. My therapist is going to get an earful tomorrow. We will see you next time on Humane Voices. Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you, Chad.
Bye.
Tinkerbell.
Bye.
Bye.